Hi everybody, it's Kay from the Paper Shed. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for coming back and joining me for another hashtag ABC April 2025, hosted by the lovely Margerth from Seven Plaza and the gorgeous Toni from Crafting by Toni. We're on day 29 and the letter is Y. Our prompts on our sheet was yarn and you do you. I sort of did me yesterday, so I'm going to do yarn, and I'm going to be making something that you can attach to your journals. Um, as it's aimed at beginners, we thought we'd keep it nice and simple. So yarn of any sort is welcome. So I'm going to go away, get all my things together, and I'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, I've been sorting through all of my yarns. Now this is like a multitude of yarns that I've got, that I've had a collection of. We're just going to talk yarns for a minute. You can use anything for tassels or spine dangles or whatever it is that you're making, and they're sort of made in exactly the same way. Now this yarn is I just cut off certain ones. I have a bag, so this is my bag of yarns, and I just collect the odd ball from charity shops and things like that, and they go in here, and then this is what I use it for mainly. Because I make baskets, I do sometimes use some of the prettier yarn to enhance my baskets, but other than that, that's about all I have. But you can use ribbon, you can use wool, you can use sari silk, you can use whatever it is that you have. And this is a bit off a blanket that I've just made. Okay, so we're just going to get a few pieces. This is some wool with little bubbles on, which is quite nice. And then this is eyelash wool, which I love. I love eyelash wool. I think it's just so pretty. And we have some different blues in that. And I'm just laying them on. I don't want them in any particular order. I just want to lay whatever I've got. So we'll go with sort of blues and shall we do yellow? A bit of yellow there. Maybe just a bit of yellow. Put a bit of yellow in there. Again, more eyelash wool. And you want to sort of put them, if you've got several lengths. So I tend to cut about three lengths of different ones and just layer them like this. Not in any particular order or anything like that. Got some blue here. So we're just going to use what I've got on the table for now. What else have we got this blue? Right, this is just a strip of material, which will go with that. I've got a bit of blue ribbon here. And it doesn't matter about length. Don't worry about your length. I want to keep this as basic as possible, purely because, what's that? That's pretty. That's different, isn't it? What else have we got? They're green. That's another one of those bluey ones. Yeah, so I think that's blue. Nice bit of ribbon there. That's navy, so we'll stick that in. And I've just collected these over time, really. There is no sort of method to my madness. It's just literally what I have and what you can use. Now that'd make a decent size dangle. That's pretty, actually. And you just use whatever you have at hand. Um, have a play. Yeah, I like that. So this is how it would look. Now, I mean, obviously we're going to trim it down because you don't need all of this. But then that doesn't get wasted either, because then they become bits for other things. So don't worry about the length of your thing. If you want to and you want to start from one end, you can literally just start from one end like this. so that you've got longer ends at the bottom, and then when you trim off you've got bigger bits. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it, but that's another way to do it, and that saves a little bit of scrap. You'll see what I mean in a minute. But literally anything. I mean, this here is just off of a garment. It's just a garment ribbon. And as I say, all these are just bits that I've got in my stash, and that's all you need to use. You don't need to go out and get anything specific. So yeah, just continue to pick all your ends up from this end. You can either just lay them down and do it, or you can do it this way, and then you've got an idea then of your lengths, okay? And then you just get it to where you want it in the middle and bring that round. So you've got all this as excess, which is what you can cut off, and then that will give you bigger pieces, if that makes any sense. So I'm just going to pop that onto a ring, okay, through the ring there, about where I want it. I'm going to close my ring up, and then I'm just going to pull it tightly around there. And then what we want is just anything. I prefer to use the wax thread. And the reason I like the wax thread is because when you knot it, it doesn't come undone. You know, it's pretty secure. So just get a piece of thread. Now you can do this like you do with a macrame knot, or you can literally just tie it round. If you was to do it like a macrame knot, you put that up there, you create a loop around your thumb, and then hold it, and then just go as tightly as possible in a clockwise direction, okay, through a few times. And then what you do is you put this through your loop at the bottom, okay, hold that with your finger, and then just slightly pull that up, keeping that as tight as possible until your knot has disappeared behind your thing, okay. And then you can either thread it with a needle. I've got a needle somewhere. You can then thread it with a needle, and you can pop it around here and pull those strings down. Now I don't mind the strings because you can attach charms on them. So you can either do it like that, or you can literally just wrap it around and tie it in a knot. And then all you need to do then is use something to cover it up if you don't like the look of the thread. But that's pretty secure now on your ring, and then you open that and that becomes your charm. So what we just need to do now, your spine dangle I should say, that becomes your spine dangle. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to chop those off about, so if that's on your spine, you only want it to about here, and I'm literally just going to cut through all of those. It'll cut through pretty easily. Missed one, and there you have it. So there's one. Now none of this needs to go to waste. You can keep it for other things if you want to. I mean, if you want to be precise about it, then start with your ribbon, and you need it to be about 14 or 50, about 15, 16 inches long. That's as much as you need. if you want to be, if you want measurements, that's the best way to do it. And you can cut those off as you go along. Okay, we can put another piece down, which is about the same. Another piece of that. And you can just trim it as you go along. Just going to lay that on there. So this is just another alternate way to do it. Quite like these. And put a piece of that in. So this is another alternative way of how to get your lengths. So at the moment we've got some yarn, we've got some eyelash trim, so wool, we've got a leaf ribbon, we've got some yellow ribbon and some clear ribbon. This was off a pair of trousers, so that would work. And I've got some more there. That's slightly shorter, so we will pop that in. So that will definitely fit. We've got some sari silk. Now that can be cut off there. I've got a knot there anyway. And all I've done is just gone through my scrap bin, and pulled out what I think I'd want. This was off a gift from a friend. Because it's got leaves on, I'm going to include it. Just going to pop that on. More eyelash trim, which we can just pop in. It's nicer to use, I mean, you can just use wool and eyelash trim and do one out of, the whole of this, which would actually be pretty. But you sort of want, I prefer to have the textures, so the different textures. But you have to use what you've got, so it's whatever you've got. If you've got ribbons, do an all ribbon one. If you've got loads and loads of wool, just do a wool one. It doesn't need to have all of these different elements in it if you haven't got it. So at the moment, you will still need to trim this. It's just that this will give you a better idea of how to do it. So you're literally just popping all your pieces on and just trimming it off where you need it. And you can do this from your roll so that you're not wasting or creating lots of little bits. Okay, what else have we got? Got a piece there that's not quite long enough, but that doesn't matter. We've got some more of this, which I'll just trim off there. This is quite chunky now. Actually, this is more than enough. And you don't need to make them this thick at all. And I'm going to do this in more or less the same way, but I'm going to add a clip this time. So I'm going to use a split ring. It's like a key ring one. It's not one that opens like this one. So this one opens so that you can attach that through a eyelet in your spine. If you use a ring like this, you're going to need to attach something, and I want to attach a clip so that you can take it on and off your journal when you want to, because they can be a bit of a pain. So I'm just going to thread this through here and do it in exactly the same way. So I'm going to pull all those through. Okay, making sure that I've got them all, which I think I have. I want to sort of get it in with the right positioning of where all your things are. Pull that as tight as you can, and we can trim afterwards. And then I'm going to get my thread, and this time I want to leave some long threads so that I can put beads on at a later date as and when I want to come and use it. And then I want to get that as tight as possible up there. And so I'm just going to hold this And this one I'm going to knot, aren't I? Because I showed you how to do the macrame type on the other one. So this one I'm just going to knot so that you can see that you can knot it. Now I've got that to about a relatively decent length. Just want to make sure that that's as tight as possible. And then what I want to do is I just want to thread that through there and create a knot. Holding that. Create my first knot, and then I'm just going to double knot that just to be on the safe side. And then one can go that side and one can go that side, and I can put beads or a charm on there as and when needed. And then what I want to do is I just want to thread this clip, the bulldog clip, and I've got a small one. Now it can be quite difficult just to get it through, but you only need to get it through just, only because it's got so many threads that it's trying to pull through. So you just have to persevere and try and get it out. There you go. And then once you've got it out, she says, once you've got it closed and out, you can hide that then back under there. And then this clip then clips onto the top of your journal to create your, can go on the side, can go on the top, on the spine, and it just hangs lovely. So I'm not actually going to trim this one. It's more or less, there is, where I've brought it through, I've sort of made ones shorter than the other, so it will need a bit of a trim. But I don't know what journal it's going to go on, so I'm going to leave it like that until I know. But that's another way. So you've got the clip ring there, and then you've got this option here where you can, I love this option. I think it's so versatile. And I do find that you know, they can be a pain when you're looking through a journal or showing it to someone when it's got, you know, lots of things on. But I just love them. I love these ribbon tassels, and they're just so cute. And then I don't really think you need to see me do another one, do you? But that would be another one that I would do. And I do like that clip idea, so I'd probably use that. But yeah, it's just a case of getting all your scraps together and then just trimming off what you don't want, or the length that you don't want. So that's one variation. We have another variation where you can make tassels. Now these can be for your journals as well. I've got a box of these because I used to sell them a lot on Etsy, different tassels that I made. And I had these sort of tassel tops, which are fairly useful. These ones came in a pair because you can use them for making bracelets. But these were quite nice because they're so, you know, quite tiny. So if you have those, that's great. If not, we can just make a normal tassel. But what we would do with these ones is this here. When I make my baskets, my rope comes tied up, and these are the bits that it comes tied up in. So I tie it in the middle. So I get so many strands, tie it in the middle, and then I literally just comb it through with a pet comb to get my pieces like this. Okay. It takes a bit of doing, it takes a bit of work, but it is worth it. And then all I do is fold that where I've got my knot, fold that in half, and then I've got a little bead cap here. I stick some glue in and I literally just pop that into there as best as I can. And then you comb it through and you literally do just trim it to wherever you want it. Now this is just waste to me, so you know, it hasn't cost me anything. And there you have a nice little tassel. So if you do have those, it's worth a go. This was exactly the same. It's just a smaller version. And I literally do just comb it out with my little pet brush, pet comb. And I've got a tiny, tiny one here. And I just literally just pop that in there with some hot glue or some E600. Let it dry overnight. And there we have a nice tassel there. Now this one you need to put thread in before you do that, so that you've got, you literally just, again, just take it down to whatever size you want, trim that off, and you've got another tassel there. So that's another easy way to do it. So we've seen these ones and we've seen these ones. So you've got two options. Again, these ones can actually be dyed. So if you do have any old rope, you know what to do with it. And then the next one that's coming up is the simplest, most easiest way to do any tassel, and it takes minutes. Is we're going to make these type of tassels. They're very quick, they're easy to do, and it takes a couple of minutes, and you can add them to any project. They're perfect for it, and they're just lovely. They're just so pretty. And you make these out of embroidery floss. So you can use any embroidery floss that you have. You can pick embroidery floss up pretty cheaply. So these, I mean, although you use a whole one of these to make this, it still works out quite cheap. I got this bundle from Temu, which was about £3, I think, and I had two of all of them at one point or another. What you're looking for, though, is you're looking for ones that are complete like this. You don't want to start with anything that looks like this, because if you do, it's going to go wrong. You need them to be perfectly in line and straight like this. Okay, so they need to be perfectly straight with the sleeves on, because you need the sleeves to be able to work with this. So let's pick a colour. Let's pick this one because it's the odd one. You're going to need one of these. You're going to need a needle with a large eye so that you can thread it, and a pair of sharp scissors. Mine aren't that sharp, to be fair, but a pair of scissors. Okay, so that's what you're going to need to be able to make it. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to pull. We need two strands of about 13, so you need two out, two pulls, and you need it to be about 13 inches. Sorry, I'm off screen for this, but it's on, the measurement is on the end of my desk. So this is what you should end up with. You have your scissors, your needle, this, and two strands of 13 inches. Okay, we're going to take one strand like this. We're going to halve it, so we're just going to join those ends there. We're going to get the loop at the top, and then you want to come down about 2 inches. Okay, and you want to tie a knot there. This will become your top loop. So if you want your loop bigger than 2 inches or shorter than 2 inches, you just need to be aware that you'll do it at whatever size you want it. I do mine about 2 inches, and this works out perfectly. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to lay that down, and we're going to separate these two loose ends here. Okay, so your loops at the top, your two ends are like this. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get your full floss, you're going to find the middle, and then you're going to line that up like so across your middle. You're going to take your both ends and you're going to knot it. Just double knot that in the middle like so, pulling it as tight as you can. Do it again, as tight as you can. Okay, and then your two ends should be more or less the same size as this side and this side. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to take off our sleeves. So take both sleeves off, get your loop, and then pull that down as best you can. Now, it is possible, if you've got it slightly off centre, you can slightly move this, but it's very minimal. So it's best to try and get it into the centre as best you can. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to get a sleeve and we're going to re-thread it. So pop your loop, your 2-inch loop through your sleeve, get your finger through, and then pull that sleeve back down. And what we want is, we want it to be about 3/4 of an inch from the top. You want that as tightly as possible. Okay, about 3/4 of an inch would probably be enough. Get your second strand, like so, and then you want this end to be just above the length of your tassel from this point, not from here, from this point here, from where your tassel starts. Put your finger on and just bring that back round to create a loop at the bottom. You want to pop your loop onto your sleeve and then pop your finger right at the top. Your small one needs to go in line with your 2-inch loop. Get your longest part and then just start turning it around clockwise. So 1, 2, 3, pulling it quite tight. You want this to be as tight as you can get it. 4, 5 times. Okay, then get your loop and get the end that you've just tied around and pop it through your loop here. All right, hold your loop between your fingers, get your shorter strand at the top, and then pull that all the way to the top of there. Okay, you can just see your knot here. Well, not your knot, your loop. You can take off your sleeve, pull that just a little bit tighter so that your loop goes right underneath your strands that you've just created, just so that it completely disappears. This strand then should be more or less the same size as the rest of these. And then with this strand, we're going to thread it onto your needle. So this is why you need a bigger eye. But you can use any needle. You don't need an embroidery needle for this. Okay. Then what you're going to do is, through the loop that you created, the knot that you created for this, you're going to pop that through there. Okay. And pop that through there. There we go. Just tidy that up a little bit. Make sure my needle doesn't come out. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go into the middle, right underneath where you've just gone round, and push that down into the middle. Okay. And that secures it all. All right. There you go. And there's your tassel. But just to get a nice bottom on it, we're going to pop your sleeve back on. So do exactly the same. Pull on that loop and just pull that down, and then just cut these loops at the bottom first. Try and make sure that you've got all of the loops. There you go. There's one there. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to pull this down to where you want, the size of your tassel. And I like to get it down as far as possible to the end. And then all we're going to do is we're just going to get our not so sharp scissors, and I'm just going to cut that off all the way around that to make it as flat as possible. Yes. Move that out of the way. Take your sleeve off, shake your tassel out, and there you have it. Isn't that cool? That's quite a nice colour actually. And you know, if you was to do that, you just need to, it takes you a couple of minutes to do when obviously you're not trying to show somebody. And there we have it. So I do hope that you enjoyed that. That's all I have for today. So we had our ones with bead caps on. You can dye this as well, by the way. So, you know, if you do have any excess rope, just use it for some tassels. Perfect way to do it. And we also did some lovely journal tassels that you can use anywhere. Where's the blue one? There it is. So there you have it. These are my favourite. I love the way these come out and they're so easy to do. So they're all pretty relatively easy done and absolutely fantastic for beginners. So which one's your favourite? So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming back and joining me, and I do appreciate it. We're on our last day tomorrow, which is very, very sad. I have thoroughly enjoyed the ABC April collab. It's been absolutely amazing, and I'm so chuffed that I actually got a video out every day. So I just want to thank Margerth from Seven Plaza and Toni from Crafting with by Toni for organising it. It's been absolutely fabulous, and you know, I've learned a lot throughout of this, even though it was for, you know, beginners, basically for beginners. So I do hope that you'll join me for the last day tomorrow, and yeah, I'll see you then. So thanks for watching. Bye for now.